Good morning and welcome to my studio. My name is Thysma, and today we're doing a walkthrough through my latest release on Armada, which is called Resolved. I'm gonna show you how I made this track, some insights, going through the drums, the synths, all the main sounds that you hear, kick and bass, some effects, but mainly just showing you around the way I work, the things I use, the effects I use. I think it's interesting to show you. Let's dive straight into it, actually. So here we have the project. And as you can see, I work in groups. I group most of my sounds together. My synths, my drums, my kick and my bass, my effects, white noise, small risers, cymbals, whatever. It's all grouped just to give myself some headspace while working. The first sound that I started using in this project was this melodic loop right here. And I wanted to have one sound going on in the record for the almost all the time, just to create that cohesive feeling. And at first the idea of this track was to keep it an ambient track without drums. But this loop, let me show you the one that I mean. This one right here. It actually has some rhythm in it, so that's why I skipped the idea of doing it as an ambient track and worked out drums on top of that. So first we will discuss this main melodic loop combined with the main percussion, which together fill the entire percussion section. And you have this loop as well. I think these two are the most important ones. We'll discuss the drums. Kick and bass is not too interesting in this track, but I'll show you the patch that I used in Serum for my bass and my kick, and of course all the synthesizers. But first, the melodic loop right here. It's this one, and it's a sample which I cut into different parts. I pitched it down slightly, just 18. Fine tune, in the fine tune, just to slightly perfect it for this track. Without all the effects, this sounded like nothing. Very harsh for the ears and not really organic. So the first thing I did was obviously did some EQing. There were some resonances in this high mid part, and I didn't like the high end, which was really noisy, a bit electronic, too electronic for me. So I cut out those parts and the high mids. And with the glue compressor, as you can see in the sample, there's a lot of volume differences between each hit. So with the glue, I just pushed it together a little to have more detail in those parts that are a bit lower in volume. And those are especially the ones that are in the low mid section, so I wanted these to pop out a bit more. Some more EQing. I always do a lot of EQing. With compression, there comes also a bit more thickness in the sound, so I didn't want the high end. I compressed the shit out of it with this LA2A compressor. And then with the utility, I did some widening to make the sound a bit wider, stereo imaging. And actually with this altar boy, so without the altar boy, it's like this. And if I turn off the utility, here it's in the middle. So When I turn on the utility and the alter boy, it starts to spread out a bit more. And I really like the alter boy because it gives a little bit of gritty texture to the sound. I turned down the mix quite harsh to not make it too overwhelming. I put up the pitch 12 semitones, 1 octave, to give it a nice feeling, a little bit of drive. If I put up the mix, it will start to sound like shit. But with the delicate amount of mix, this alter boy gives it a nice little texture to it. Some more EQ. There are some really harsh frequencies in this high mid that keep coming back. With some reverb, I tried to put it a bit more in space. Valhalla Vintage Verb. I don't use it a lot now, actually, because the sound is a bit overwhelming in some points. I like to use Pro Air by Fab Filter now a bit more, but in this time, which is, I think I created this track a year ago, I used Valhalla a lot. So, and just some automations on these filters to make it grow into the track, as you can see here. It's just growing, and in the end, it's going down again. And of course, some more EQ, just a tiny bit of resonance. That's the main part of the track, actually. It's continuing to play for the full 3 minutes. What is it? 2 to 3 minutes. But combined with this main perk here, this actually sounded really nice. Here you get the transients come in. Some delay. Of course, some EQing. I like to use the mid-side EQing a lot to give it some interesting... It gives an interesting feeling to the sound, because you cut out the frequencies 3 dB in the sides, so it gets a bit mono, but it's not getting out of the sides for the full 100% because it's just 3 dB. And it works very nice on certain sounds. Again, as you can see, I did some glue compression. There's some volume difference here as well. And with this transient master, I took down the attack a little bit because, as you can hear, if I put it up, there are some very high attacks in there, which I didn't like. So cutting them out a little bit makes it feel a bit more organic. With this mid-perk loop, it gives a bit of speed. And actually, those 3 layers together already give a nice feeling of where we're going. The next thing I added was this bell ambient. It's from a Buchla Easel synth. It's from Arturia, and there are some weird sounds in this plugin. So most of the time I just create a MIDI track with a certain MIDI loop in there, and I just skip through the sounds that this Buchla Easel plugin has, and most of the times something pops out. And as you can see here on the left side in the corner, I modulated a lot of the knobs throughout this thing. For example, here in the beginning, here it comes, I guess. Some pitching going on, and it just makes it a bit a strange sound, which fills the overall ambient vibe a bit more. So with it gives it a robotic feel to the organic loops that are going on, and I really like to include this to give a bit of a contrast in this part of the song. So I think for now, the drums, we'll get to the drums later. The most important thing of these drums in this track are actually these perks I just showed you, because the cymbals and hi-hats and those mid perks are not the most hard things, because this record for me was a record which I wanted to play in each individual set that I played, and I like to have the drums pretty straightforward actually, to give this progressive house feeling on the dance floor, where you're just like and you keep on moving and you're not stopping too much. So kick and bass. Kick is actually not a very hard one. It's just a sample with some saturation, EQing. As you can see, I can turn off all the elements right here. So without any effects, this is the one. Oh, now I turned on everything. So first thing I did was some EQing. A little bit of the mids here, this one. It's just listening and seeing which frequency does not fit this sample. It's a pretty short kick as well though, and with this legato bass, which I'll show you in a bit, I think this low end blends very nice with the organic pads that are in here. So I gave it some saturation to fatten it up a little bit. I turned off the very lows, which I didn't want to include here. Some channel EQing in those mid frequencies here around 150 Hertz. I heard some mud that I didn't want to include. So turning it off with this knob is just a nice way of finding one specific frequency. And I turned on the sub a little bit. And after that I glued it together to tighten it up, to fatten it up a bit. So without this channel EQ and the glue compressor. And with. So it pops out a bit more in the high ones, that's because of the glue compression. Then this auto filter, sorry. It's just to here, for example, in some transitions, I like to cut out the bass. And this is my way of doing it. I just find a nice frequency and then I automate the on-off button of the filter. I think everyone does it in his own way. This is my way of doing it. So yeah, that's most of it for the kick drum actually. What did I do here? Oh, I think yeah, just to pop it out a bit more. And then the bass is actually pretty easy. It's a legato bass. I made it in Serum. It has two layers, one top layer and one sub layer. Sub layer, I think the biggest difference is that the top layer has some chorus on there, just to give it a little bit more width to it. It's very basic. It's also just in Serum 1. I started using Serum 2 just a few months back. As you can see, I turned on the chorus a little bit on the top bass without the chorus. And with the chorus, it opens up a bit. A little bit of distortion. For the rest, it's not too hard. It's just a sub oscillator, square wave, and a sawtooth with 4 unisons. A little bit of cut off here going on. It opens up in the track. A little bit of drive, just fatten it up a bit. But most of the warmth comes from this sub here, which is also just a serum. A sub, really low sub, just a sine wave. Then this one to make it a bit more beefy, oscillator B. And with oscillator A, I wanted to make it a little wider, but also I did this to fill out the mix a bit more. As you can hear now, it's just and now it's more just a tiny bit. There are some toms here, which are layers. I like layering, and actually all the drums that I use, also my hi-hats, when I use loose samples and not loops, I try to put them in a sampler because it gives you a lot of power to change the sample in very specific timings. As you can see here, I put the decay down to 122 milliseconds, which makes it very snappy. So this is the top tom. If I take it up, you get this tail a bit more. And using this knob gives you a lot of you can create the specific sound that you want, that you hear in the sample. I would suggest everyone to use samplers for using samples, because yeah, you can work so specifically. Those toms for the rest are not very special. I got one tom going on pan to the right, one to the left, and on the drum bus I put a delay which is not ping pong. I often use ping pong delays, but for this one I didn't because they were panned wide already. Just took out some highs here in this EQ, some compression, a bit of reverb, not too much, just 3.7%. Give it a little bit of character. With this main melodic loop, and that bell ambience. Let's see, where are those main loops here? So that actually gives it a nice feeling already with just a few sounds. I think the power in this record is the simplicity of the keys and the vibe that it gives, because it's like falling into a warm bath, especially in that first drop. You have the piano chords. Where are you? Right here. They're pretty low. With this high layer here, I can turn this one down. And the warm stuff comes from this serum pad. This is actually the first sound that I ever learned making. It's very basic, but it does the job. It's just 16 voices on oscillator A, 16 voices on oscillator B, sawtooth both, finding the right detune and blend for a good wide stereo image. And of course with this envelope, took down the attack, I put it up to 1 second, took down the decay 2 seconds, and a little bit of sustain got off. Bit of release to give it that organic feeling, and this envelope is routed to the cutoff knob. So as you can see, it keeps moving, but it's just a tiny bit. But with all the reverb, and I think there's some chorus in here, yeah, it makes it very wide. And this Valhalla vintage verb here actually is very big. But with the piano, it works really well. And with the very deep bass here, This is a nice bath to start in, and with the continuous melodic loop. It works with every chord, and that's why I like that so much. There's a higher pad. It's actually strings. It's from Augmented Strings, which is okay. It's a little digital. For strings, I would suggest maybe different sounds. There are some string sounds in the Ableton Live stock patches, which maybe sound better than this one, but it's okay. Especially this high string. Wait, let me first show you this low string. I EQ'd the low parts out of it because I just wanted this pad to fill it. But it's a bit of a strange robotic sound again, and it blends with all the weird stuff that's going on in the ambience. This high strings are a bit more with an organic, come with a bit more of an organic sound. So that sounds nice with the piano chords, the bell ambient. For my piano, I used Lab's Intimate Grand Piano, and it's nice, but it lacks a bit of high frequencies. So I often use some Saturn to turn up the high frequencies a bit more. I think, oh wait, it's in the, where's the melody top piano? Here it is. For example, in this one you hear it quite well. So with the drive, you just give it a bit more grit. So this is without. And when I turn it on, you get a bit more crusty playing. I like it. Okay, so that's for the synth part actually. The main synth, which is this vocal thing, I will come to that later. I will first show you how I did the drums, because the main loops I showed you in the beginning of the video, but there's some more stuff going on. For example, this panned high perk gives it a bit of, yeah, I don't know, it's a nice, not too static sound, because I like to use just use loops because they fill out the mix nice. As you can see, I just used 3 loops here, and that works well also with the rest of the things. Here is one head which I put in a sampler again, just to give myself the time and space to play with the sustain and the decay. As you can hear, it's very specific, searching for the right amount of milliseconds that I need in this hi-hat as well. So it's on 587 now, with the sustain turned down, and actually when you open up the sampler, the sustain should be at 0, and then you get the full response of the sample. I do use the classic mode, which means that the sound plays as long as the MIDI note is. Yeah, you can choose for this one, and that means it always plays the length of the sample as you choose it here. But with the classic mode, it gives you the opportunity to say, okay, wait, I want this hi-hat to be shorter, and to play around with that a bit more, to give it an extra bit of groove. because the length of the note, when you make that shorter than your decay time is of your classic mode, it will be shorter. It will be produced shorter than the decay time. So it gives you another chance of playing with your rhythms. Same for these closed hi-hats. So I layered fucking 6 closed hats on top of each other. Oh wait, this one's turned off. But together they all have their specific thing. As you can hear, this one is more tail focused. Playing this one is a bit more snappy. Bit more body to it, this one. And this is a groovy hi-hat. So this is off the grid, but gives it some rhythm to the Synth's open hi-hat here. I just like to use the 909 kind of style hi-hats. I like it. It gives it this techno vibe. I do like techno music. I do like melodic music more. But these 909 hats, their sound is so, I don't know. You hear it in those trancey classics, in those techno classics. I like to use them. Here are just some hat loops, which I did. I did some gluing in there to if I turn it off, you hear it's focused on this 8th tone. And now it's more just a high loop. I didn't do EQing. I maybe should have taken this off a bit, just to clear the mix. But I didn't. So here I do open hat layer. So this one's a bit snappy, that 909 which I just showed you. This one's a bit more, with some bit more release. You can see it here. It's sustained a bit more. And the most important thing for your drums is to keep them growing. Add shit. Just add stuff each 4 to 8 bars or so. That works nice. Also layer your sounds, because just using one hi-hat won't do the job. Just layer your sounds. I did use 7 hi-hats for the 8 tone. And for the claps, I think I used 4 claps, which is just, it's not a lot, but if you're using one, if you have the good sample, yeah, you can do it. But layering and layering throughout the record will always make it more interesting each time it hits again. For example, this is a white clap, and combined with this more snappy clap, that actually is it for the drums. I used this little snare layer right here. At first I just used it as a fill. But after it I thought, okay, so if I turn it up, turn it up. Again, I think a nice layer here to make it grow a bit more was nice. So using the snare fill and using it as a snare after the fill just adds that extra thing. Turn it off. So that's actually it for the drums. And then, of course, the most important thing in this record is this vocal sample. This one. And as you can see, just with the same as with the melodic loop, I have a sample. I can show you the full sample here real quick. I have a sample, and I just cut out all parts, and then I pitch each individual part that I use to a certain, this one is pitched down 4 semitones, this one's pitched up 3, and this one's pitched up 6. So I search for the perfect pitches to create a melody which works with the chords. Starting the record, this sample, when I found it, was without any effects. Sounded like shit. So that doesn't work at all. But I heard some things in there. So then I played it with the chords. So let's see, where are the piano chords? Right here. Let's play the piano, the low one, together with the parts that I pitched. So this one's actually not pitched, this first part. And this one's pitched up 3. If I take it down again, it's just like this. But same here, and then it's going down, but it's still 1 semitone up from the standard sample. So, and after a lot of, so also a glue compressor to tighten up a bit more, because as you can see, there's a lot of difference in volume again. Some EQing the low parts off. So I was thinking of cutting off more of the lows, but doing more of the lows felt a bit thin, although it sounds muddy here. After using all of the effects that I used, it actually sounded nice. I used the Alto Boy here, which I automated the Foreman. And the Foreman shifter is a nice one. It's used a lot in the common pop songs actually. It gives it a bit of this transposed sound, but let's see if I can show you. So that's what's happening. And I just automated it a slightly bit here and there. All right. Again, some EQing, some lows. With this Alto Boy, I did give it some drive. So, and adding drive adds harmonics also to the low end. And I didn't want to have this low end because I already chose to keep it a bit muddy, but in that mud, adding harmonics gives it more mud. So, want to get out all the mud. Here with the Saturn, I gave it a little bit of a high boost with a little bit of drive, just to make it pop out a bit more in the mix. Some delays, ping pong, nothing too much. To blend it in the record a bit. EQ. Filter automations, just basic stuff. Echo Boy and Valhalla to give it some. It opens up. That's actually most of it is the vintage verb. Some auto panning to make it a bit wider and moving. And actually the most fun thing, because this is some more EQing, I do search a lot for resonances and stuff, and sometimes I think, oh, I might just use 1 EQ, but I love to use 5 on one track. Yeah, I know, for me it works, and it should work for you. The fun part about this sound is actually the stutter chords, and this is the last thing I'm showing you, because these are the chords playing with a weird augmented string patch, but I gated the rhythm. I created the rhythm actually in a hi-hat, which is turned off so you don't hear it. So that rhythm is routed to these chords using a gator. turned on to the external mode, and the source is this routed hi-hat, which is turned off, so you don't hear the hi-hat, but the signal gets in the gator. And by doing that, you create this stutter effect in the chords. Which completely fulfills the low mids of the vocal sample. Without. And it actually blends nice with this mud frequencies from the vocal sample. And playing around with the release time makes it a bit more snappy, or gives it more release. So as you can hear here, here it starts to stutter. That's all because of the release going down. For the rest, just some delay and some EQing here. Yeah, and for the effects, it's just some white noise and some for example, here's a sub drop which is nice. Some small drum details are in here as well. Few risers, few white noises, but nothing too crazy. It's just to keep the energy coming. I think that's it for this record. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get to learn something from this. Feel free to text me a message if you want to learn more and if you have more questions. For now, enjoy listening. It's out on Armada, and I'll see you guys later.